Joe Budden, Mouse, Jump Off Joe, Real Nigga in the Booth. One of the most polarizing MCs in not only hip-hop, but music as a whole. There seems to be a misconception on Joe Budden's ability as an MC. So, let's educate people on Joe Budden's career and give him his rose. Joseph Anthony Budden II was born in East Harlem, New York. He would move to Jersey City, New Jersey, where he would claim as his home when he was a teenager. When Joe was sent to boarding school in his youth, he began working on a skill set to become a rapper. Around 1999, Joe started taking his music career seriously. Budden started out locally, working on his demo and jumping on mixtapes. After destroying some mixtapes, he started building up a reputation as one of those go-to artists to have on your mixtape. His hard work would pay off, resulting in a deal with Def Jam Recordings in 2002. While working on his debut album, he continued to kill mixtapes while he pushed his first promo single, titled Focus.
No team could beat us, we pump diesel. I ain't talking about jeans or sneakers, way.
He tapped his friend Dub B, aka White Boy, to produce the debut album, with the singles being produced by Just Blaze, including the hit record, Pump It Up.
Talking about your ice and all the shine to it, that's a white gold cross with a real fine cubic.
Joe Budden, the self-titled album, was released June 10th, 2003. Regardless of what album sales or naysayers would have you believe, the album was well received, with most reviewers and fans alike. Joe gave us a great blend of reminiscent, party records, girl joints, and some deep introspective records we weren't used to. For those not in the know, you can find fire on Pusha Man.
Don't make me feel like you threaten my life, God. I'll go and cop some that only come with a tripod.
10 Minutes.
But now it's no secret. If the thought of jump off doing it makes you so heated, nigga, so be it.
You Ain't Gotta Go Home.
Real niggas make withdrawals while y'all go through them.
Walk With Me, and more. His vulnerability was rare at this point in hip-hop. Rappers didn't talk about their flaws or real struggles commonly. This album should be held in higher regard than it has been. While work did begin on his follow-up album, The Growth, that would never see the light of day, Joe would give us his next project. Taking a page from 50 Cent's book, it came in the form of a mixtape, Mood Music 1, The Worst of Joe Budden. Joe would in hindsight be engineering a new direction for himself. The mixtape featured mostly original music and bad mixing that added to the charm of the sound. Joe would weave bars in with real-life situations, helping them build a cult-like following. In his words, some call it complaining, I call it explaining. Joe's bars have so much irony in them that adds a little bit of layer of wittiness to them. Some fire on this mixtape can be found in Oh My God,
Whack dudes in the game is a problem, but they like Maurice Malone jeans, they name will stay on the bottom.
Find a Way, Def Jam Diss, Last Real Nigga Alive, and Bitches, Rappers, and Metaphors, just to name a few.
Cops cuffing, arresting, so it's somebody else besides Usher confessing.
Mood Music 2 couldn't get any worse as Joe sounded more confident in the mixtape circus, also affording him the freedom that he wouldn't have had elsewhere. Budden would be able to say what he wanted while still showcasing his ability to be versatile, as well as doing records with no hooks, which became a normal part of his repertoire. This is one of the best mixtapes of 2006 and one of the best of all time in general. Some amazing records here are You In That Mood Yet, 6 Minutes of Death.
As far as rappers, I'm thinking they frauds. Call them all Rubik's Cubes, cause I really used to think they was hard.
World Takeover, Dumb Out.
Now who said they fucking with me? They just said that fucking with me, they didn't mean it.
And one of the hardest narrative records you're gonna hear, 3 Sides to a Story. After this mixtape, the Growth album was officially shelved, with Joe being released from Def Jam after disagreements on the album's direction. Now, Mood Music 2 was so good, where does that put the superior Mood Music 3, for better or for worse? It's one of the best mixtapes of 2007 and one of the best of all time. MM3 sounded more polished and more like an album than the previous two. The album would eventually be Joe's second album after a deal with Amalgam Digital. With so much fire on this album, you may want to start with Family Reunion.
You dissing more, take the ratchet, go home and just crisp and walk.
All of Me, Dear Diary.
The soundtrack to my life is like CNN's first shit. Images like CNN, but worse shit.
Secrets, Warfare, and a dedication to good old friend Stack Bundles on Cinema Love.
Can't believe it, it's over. But if God called you, I ain't even mad at him. He must have needed a soldier.
Third album around, we've seen some delays before the official release of Halfway House. While the album wasn't as sharp as the Mood Music standard Joe had set, there is still much fire to be had. The Soul takes you down memory lane.
Remember getting hype off my first Casio, souped up right in my first verse, it was ass though.
Sidetrack is an audio version of the brain of an ADHD person.
Gotta call it, I just ignored, my days hectic, I'm overwhelmed with thoughts, leave a message.
And of course the song that was the initial song for the greatest lyrical group to come together in Slaughterhouse.
I take it out on tracks, I R.I.P. it, so even to the producer it's hard to ID it.
The next part of the amalgam era had Joe bouncing back in less than a year with Padded Room. Padded Room felt a little bit more focused and had Joe fans really excited upon release. The Future had Joe in beef with The Game.
And that ain't just jazz, ain't down with Okur. I play publicists and give her exposure.
3 new collabs with Summer Love Vest partner Imani, with some more fire in If I Gotta Go.
It's niggas with credentials, accolades, paperwork, but couldn't figure out how to make their paperwork.
Exes, I Couldn't Help It, Angel in My Life.
I keep fucking shit up, but keep trying. If y'all would just trust me, I wouldn't just keep lying.
And Pray For Me. After going from the halfway house to the Padded Room, Joe planned his escape route, which was the finale in the Amalgam series. This is the least cohesive of the series, but it still has some amazing verses with some great songs with No Comment.
Rapper saying my name like it's a bright tactic. Jackson 5 with your mic in a casket.
We Outta Here featuring Slaughterhouse. Tito Santino featuring Wale.
They can't naysay, but the AK's across from the Tommy like Sinead.
Connect 4 featuring Young Chris of the Young Guns, and a few others. Joe Budden took a break from the solo stuff to join up with Slaughterhouse and put together an incredible debut album with an amazing display of lyricism, bars, and everything else from these 4 amazing MCs.
So we come to the end of the road, and I can't let go. It's unnatural. You belong to me. I belong to you. Fuck this shit.
The album is a jaw-dropping, face-palming fest with so much to digest, proving that they were the best group out.
The one, I outcast, I don't need the rocks, so I can put my love below by a speaker box.
No skippers here. Just listen to everything and let it sink in.
Shorties wanna be tough guys, Sonic soft gun go off, have them like a good show, just spun them off.
After years of ignoring the calls, Joe finally gave the fans what they wanted. Mood Music 4, A Turn for the Worse. The album was a true return to form for Joe with some fire records like the Rocky movie clip assisted Aftermath.
With me they getting genius bars without the Apple Store.
Deserve for Thought with Budden trading verses with Styles P and Pusha T. Inseparable, Remember the Titans.
Eat pills and Maybachs ain't gon' matter if your tip is tiny.
No Idea, and a group of records featuring the other 3/4 of the Slaughter.
I know how to fuck it up more than I can make it better.
The next project was a Slaughterhouse mixtape as well as their debut on Shady Records, Welcome to Our House.
My real name, my rap shit. Fuck with Chase, but the real bank is the mattress.
The album continued the members' amazing ability, but the production took a stark change from the natural underground hip-hop sound of their debut album for the zany, shady sound of other Eminem-produced projects at the time with some blatant attempts at commercial records.
Oh yeah.
Not even 3 months after the Slaughterhouse album, Joe put out the mixtape, A Loose Quarter. This mixtape has Joe continue to show his growth as an MC while showing how much he excelled when talking about topics that are dear to him. Some fire to be had on this mixtape are Cut From a Different Cloth featuring Ab-Soul.
Just did what these other niggas were scared to do. Tell me life is hard, I'll ask what the fuck do you compare it to?
All in My Head featuring Royce 5'9".
Headed upfield but couldn't dodge the last tackler. How could a forward thinker move so ass backwards?
So Good, So Hard, and Off to the Races. Work did begin on the follow-up to the Slaughterhouse album that was going to be executive produced by Just Blaze, but it was never released. We did get a mixtape with House Rules, with them showing once again that they ain't nothing to fuck with lyrically. This would be the last real project that we got from the whole Slaughterhouse.
Even though y'all just got here, goodbye.
With Joe's 6th album, No Love Lost, Joe took another shot at the commercial lane, going for the more popular features like French Montana, Wiz Khalifa, Juicy J, Lil Wayne, and some others. We still have some features from Imani, Joel Ortiz, Crooked Eye, but the album fell off. Even with the change in production, you can still find some great verses from Joe here, including some great records like Summer Love vs. Tell 'Em Something, Castles.
You probably tell me I'm a fucked up nigga. You got it wrong, I just won't be fucked up with you.
Skeletons, and You and I.
You and I seem crazy. I would die, you leave my life.
We got a new 7-song mixtape to hold fans over until the next album, Some Love Lost. Some Love Lost got fans excited about what was being cooked up with all 7 songs steaming. Get this 37 minutes of run back if you haven't heard it in a while. All Love Lost has Joe back in his introspective bag, which he does so well. Joe addresses the fans' dismay on No Love Lost's direction on the intro. We're then treated to a bunch of great songs, including Love 'Em Good,
Surround yourself with bullshit, you be liable to step in it.
Make It Through the Night with Jadakiss and the heavenly voice of Marsha Ambrosia,
Too many nights for dinner, I just ate an uncomfortable sleep. Had to open up the oven for heat.
and Joe addressing his relationship with Eminem on Slaughterhouse.
Got in my own way a lot, I'm sure the same as you.
To follow that up, Joe would release what would be his final album, Rage in the Machine, in 2006 with A-Rap Beats, who contributed production for every song on the album. Joe got to work slaughtering these A-Rap beats with 3, By Law,
I'ma always be a real nigga, that's my law.
Flex,
Her mouth saying hello, her legs were saying peace.
Forget, Idols, and I Wanna Know being fire. This album went underappreciated when it was released, and it still hits hard to this day. Aside from the mainline projects, Joe had spontaneously throughout his rapping days released freestyles, EPs, and single records that have been amazing. Just a few for you to listen to include Ordinary Love Shit 1, 2, and 3,
So I did that bitch, you know the shit's been over. Some situations don't end without close.
4040,
I'm recording dummies, but I'm not important. They think the book of Eli was written by Tom Coughlin.
Unthinkable Freestyle,
And as a poet, I feel like I owe it to not go astray. So everything inside me genuine, no Soleil.
No Church in the Wild Freestyle,
Loaded 9 is a buffer, but no time for you fuckers. There'll be bodies in the sewer when my mind's in the gutter.
Short Summer,
You keep chasing success that y'all scared of. Done carrying dead weight, I'm no longer the pallbearer.
or any of the Drake disses, and also any other Joe Budden Lucy. Speaking of diss records, Joe has went at it with almost half of the industry. He has traded verses with the likes of Jay-Z, Game, Drake, Method Man, and way too many more to name. When Joe is set off, the person on the other end is usually in for a lyrical beatdown. Joe's skill set is always underrated until them records start dropping and people get reminded. Outside of creating music, Joe has been inspirational in a few different areas. Joe was amongst the first artists to record and vlog his relationship with his girlfriend. These videos can be looked at as the creation of the love and hip-hop concept, as well as couples that run YouTube channels together. He was very early in identifying different ways to digitally interact with music, as well as the benefits in the future in digital music. But it may not have been the first, but he was one to heavily lean into writing about his personal struggles, issues, and analyzing himself constantly in his music. His style has been picked up by the Drakes, the Kendrick Lamars, and the J. Coles, but Joe never gets the credit. Joe would be one of the hip-hop artists to pioneer the podcast space, making it more attractive and lucrative for artists to take it serious, along with Nori. We can't forget about the everyday struggle and state of the culture and how important they were for the culture, even though they had short lifespans. Through all the rights and wrongs, trials and tribulations of Joe's life, he has managed to compress it all into his music, use it as therapy, and keep on the human path of trying to become a better version of oneself. Joe does not have the most decorated catalog of music as far as awards, plaques, and album sales go, or appreciation. But if you ask those that do, they look up to MCs and entrepreneurs like Joe Budden. This is one of the reasons why Joe is the most hated trendsetter in hip-hop possibly ever. So before you talk on Joe, you might want to get a little acquainted with his catalog. He probably inspires some of your favorite rappers. This has been Dane Diddy from R.O.S.E, giving Joe Budden his rose.